your pencils ready if people still use pencils. If not, wherever you plug it into your phone. I haven't used a pencil in a long time, but I know there's somebody out there that's using a pencil. Let's talk about Texas stats. Right now, we have 86 agents on our side of the Ben Kinney organization in Texas, 86 agents. You guys, those 86, are carrying 70 listings, 70. Shout out to Midland with 32 and shout out to Dallas North with 25 listings. So very exciting. Listing volume being carried right now, 27 million in listing volume. That is super good, super exciting. Pendings. I want to give you a good number here. 240 pendings, 240 pendings right now, you guys. That's an average of 3 per agent right now if we were going to average it, right? So that's pretty cool. Pending volume, you guys, is 95 million. So close to 100 million, 95 million that you guys are pending right now. You guys have closed 280 units, 280 units. That is 2.5 homes sold per day this year. It's a lot. It's a lot. Closing volume, 98.3 million closed so far. Your average price point is 351 on closings. Your average price point on pendings is 396. If you look at those numbers, that's a 13% increase just between closings and pendings. Says a lot about the market, right? And then it also says that you guys are going to have like a $1,400 like pay increase just because you guys are increasing your price point. The market continues to appreciate. All good news, right? First time to be so close to 400,000 as an average price point. And we're talking San Antonio, Austin, Midland, Dallas, like all of it, right? Here's why we're here today though. You guys are representing 307 buyers, 307 buyers, the most buyers we have ever represented. And so that's why our topic today is I'm burned out on buyers. And so it was the topic that I kept hearing and I'm like, let's just talk about it. So I've invited a few heavy hitters to share today. So we'll just go ahead and get into the meat of it. Let's start out with Kara. Kara, do you want to unmute yourself? No pressure, right? None of that pressure. Hey. Hello, good morning. So I want to introduce you guys to Kara. Kara is a newcomer to our call, to our team even. She is number 3 in Austin right now, year to date, number 3. The reason I share that is because she started, I think, last August, Kara?
August, yeah.
August. All right. So you accomplished a lot. Really cool. You just came back from Montana. You took a little vacay and you got off the plane and you opened up your bank account and your bank account said $30,000. Well, probably more, but 30,000 from your closings this month. So that's good. And so I want to talk to you this month because you're working with 13 buyers right now, based on everything I saw. It's a lot of buyers. So what's your winning factor with working with buyers right now? What are you saying to them?
Yeah. So it's really important, as we all know, to set the expectations. And I'm from New York, so I'm very, very straightforward. So I've learned very quickly that, you got to set those expectations or else the buyers are going to take over your freaking life. So I usually go something like this, like it's going to be exhausting. Like when we first meet, after we do like the buyer consult and then like we're sitting and just chatting, and they're signing the buyer's rep and everything, I'll usually just be like, this will be exhausting. You're going to lose a few times. You're going to want to take a break and we're both going to cry. You're going to cry. I'm going to cry. You're going to want to give up and then it will click and then you'll win and it will be worth it. So I tell them that before we start the whole process. And then, we go into the process and you put a few offers in, they don't want to listen to you. You go in a little under what you think you should go in at, lose once or twice. And then I always like refer back to that exact script when we met the first time. And I say, remember, this is when I said that you're going to be worn out and you're going to want to take a break. And we're in the crying stage right now, but that just means that we're this much closer to having everything click and get an offer accepted. And then they'll have like an aha moment and be like, oh, wait, she did exactly say this. So wait, she might actually know what she's talking about. So this isn't her first rodeo. Let's finally listen to her. So usually after we hit that exact moment, something clicks, and usually get our offer accepted right after that little tough moment where they want to give up because they realize that I do know what I'm doing. So I think it's,
even though you've been doing it since August, right?
Yeah. I mean, at least I think I know what I'm doing. So, I mean, it's definitely just important to set those expectations and set those boundaries for yourself, for your own mental sanity, or else you'll be putting in offers forever and you'll never set those expectations. If you don't do it right at the beginning, you're going to let them bully you around, and you're going to lose I mean, I was losing like 7-8 times in the beginning, which it's still the beginning, but in the way beginning. And then I just learned no, I need to set those boundaries for myself and for them. So pretty straightforward, and yeah, it's been working.
So I have a question, a follow-up question then. I know you're from New York, and maybe it's because you're like a little bit like life has made you hard. So you're just you're gonna have the conversations. But at the beginning, especially when you don't have the confidence to be that honest with somebody, like do you remember like how you built it? Was it just you went through some pain and you're like, well shoot man, I got to change something, or what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I had a good amount of clients that in the beginning were absolutely horrible to me and kind of ruling my life. I mean, Casey knows from everything. I had some that were like definitely like verbally abusive to me. And I was like, screw this. Like I need to change my mindset. And even if I don't believe it, I need to like force myself to believe that I know what I'm doing. No one gets to talk to me like this. I get to tell them how this is going to go. And then in the end, it will all work out I have their best interest at heart, like if they don't want to listen to me, that's their problem. So I kind of had to change my mindset with that.
Got it. And then I have a follow-up question from Jacob. Do you have like any like expectation conversations during the buyer's rep, or is it like once they're signed and they're ready to go with you, then you're like, all right, let me tell you how it's going to go?
I usually have that conversation like right before we get the buyer's rep signed. I'm like, working with me is going to look like this. And I'm like, I'm not going to just sit around. I always try to set the expectation that I'm, going to tell them the truth no matter what, obviously, because I legally have to. And I also will as a person. And I try, I'll tell them what it's like working with me, because usually you're interviewing, against many other people. So I'm like, this is what working with me is going to look like. I don't know what working with anyone else is going to look like, but it's going to be straightforward. It's going to look like this. And are you in or are you in? And usually they're in. So yeah. And then we'll get the buyer rep signed. So I try to set that before I do that.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Anything else any other advice that you'd have for people? Either a script or something that you've learned or something that's working for you?
Honestly, I don't really have anything else right now.
You're good. You're good. That's good enough. We'll take you as you are, Kara. Just keep going with the buyers. And you guys keep setting expectations at that level for your buyers. Even if you're newer, like Kara hasn't even been doing this for a year, she's seeing a lot of success, even on the buy side. Like some of us, like we talk so much about sellers, and like listings are important, you guys. Like listings are so important, right? But don't forget, like buyers pay, right? Like when unless no one has bills here, like we all like have a duty to help our buyers, and we have 307 of them to help. So I'm really glad that we can do that in a way that does not, I don't know if you guys read my email, but it said to write this down, like a five-star career is a six-figure income and the time to enjoy it, right? And so I want to make sure that like while we're working with these buyers, by setting those expectations, we're definitely going to have that time to enjoy that 30K that hit our account. Because otherwise, like, doesn't feel good, right? Jonathan, are you ready, or do you want me to wait for a second?
No, I'm ready.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, Jonathan has climbed to number 2 on the Austin team. And so he had 30,000 net last month, which was very exciting. He's working with like 11 buyers or more, just the 11 that I know about. So how, like one of the things that I know that you're working on is keeping the buyers motivated What does that look like for you? Talk us through what that looks like.
Yeah, it shadows a lot of what Kara just said with regards to setting expectations early, making sure that they're very aware of what the market is, showing them that they're not necessarily going to be able to come in at asking price, and walking them through what our typical market looks like in certain areas within Austin or around Austin, and just setting those expectations really early on so that, just like Kara said, when we get to a point where they're like, well, this sucks, like we're not going to win. It's like, listen, here's what we have to do to win. Here's why it's important for you to win, because prices are only going up. It's only going to get more expensive. So if you think that, oh, hey, I can just hit pause for 6 months and resume the search, it's going to be worse off. So it's like, it's worth just kind of pulling each other through and being successful now, before things get more expensive.
I really like that. I want you guys to make sure you heard that, right? Pushing pause right now is not the answer. You have to actually believe that pushing pause right now is not the answer. Like if you don't believe it, then they definitely won't believe it, right? Because you can either buy that $500,000 house or today, or it's, 600 like a year from now, right? Or more, right?
Right.
Do they ever get demoralized, Jonathan? Or are all your people always happy and excited about like living their dream life? Like, what does that look like?
No, yeah, we always hit a spot where it's like, well, maybe this just isn't going to work out. And that's the point where we kind of rally. We'll sit down and do like a review and say, all right, remember this house? Here's what we said that we needed to do. And you guys were like, okay, well, let's come 20,000 under what our recommendation was. Well, we saw how that went. And then house number 2, same thing. Well, you guys went 10,000 under what we recommended. We didn't win. Here's how it ended up. So a lot, I spend a lot of time communicating with the listing agent, even after we've lost, trying to get as much information as I can, saying like, hey, can you give me an idea where we landed, where we ended? Were we 10 grand under the winning offer? Were we 30 grand? Like, where was it at? And I'm really deliberate about getting that to my clients so that they can start to kind of frame in their mind, like where they're at in the pack. And then, don't get me wrong, it sucks to have to write 3 or 4 offers before you get a winning one, but it's kind of it's the steps that we have to take right now with our clients to help them build trust, and build a better understanding of the current market that we're in.
Okay, here's what I wrote down as you were talking. Jonathan is, whenever people get into that demoralized state, he is getting like into like that rally mode, rallying them, reviewing like, okay, offer number 1, here's what happened. Offer number 2, here's what happened. And he's very deliberate, you guys, when they do lose, that he is getting all that information from the listing agent so that he can share with the client, so that like he's building trust with them and he's being honest, and it's moving the client forward, right? It's framing in their mind, hey, like if we keep doing this, we're going to be number 5 or 6 every time versus number 1. I have another question for you right now. I know last time we talked, you said you were going to, work on sellers, and you're in this messy middle with working with a bunch of buyers. Like, do you have any kind of plan in your head of like how to move forward with ensuring that you're like finding time to lead gen for sellers, or like, what does that look like? Because I know it's a really messy right now with all these buyers.
Sure. Yeah, I've become very deliberate, or working on becoming very deliberate with, I have about 600 folks in my privity right now, right? So it's not nearly enough, but it's a good start. I'm at the point now where I can essentially, I've prospected enough and circle prospects and added enough nurtures that I can focus in privity on sellers. So for me, that looks like about an hour and a half to 2 hours a day right now, of just solely focusing on sellers in the morning, and just really trying to get a lot better at blocking everything else out between those times. And then from there, like I know that I've made contacts with sellers, and then I can switch over to buyers in the afternoons with appointments and sending properties. And
Got it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Appreciate that.
thank you.
All right, so let's go to Daniel really quick. Daniel, where are you at, bud? I can't see you on my screen. Wave to me.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Yeah, somebody wave to me because there's so many of you. You guys are awesome. I'm just gonna spotlight you so I don't like lose you again. Okay, so good morning. We talked to you last time when you had your new build community, and that's working well. I mean, you can check out the logos on his jacket there. It's going off really well. We're having lots of momentum, you're one of the most successful agents in Dallas. So I love talking to you. You now work with Kyle and Jordan and Matt, and you're building like your team within a team because you have a lot going on. So you guys have been working with a lot of clients in the last 90 days. Let's just start on the seller side. Let's go on a completely different route for a second. What are you saying to sellers who say they've got nowhere to go, man? And like, how do you overcome these scenarios so that you have a buyer and a seller at the end of this? Like, what does that all look like for you?
So when we sit with them, basically we say, work a little bit differently than a lot of teams and agents might. We're going to have basically a buyer consultation and a listing consultation, but really it's a strategy session, so that we can help you figure out how best to win in the market that we're in. So whether that is, okay, if you're gonna sell your house, where do you go? If you are thinking about leasing your current place out and buying something else, our team really strongly believes in building wealth through real estate. So we'll look at all the scenarios for you to help you figure out which one matches your goals the best. And then we're going to strategize on how to help you win in that scenario.
So how do you start the conversation? Like, do you give them any analogies? Do you ask them what their goals are? Like, what does that look like when you first go in?
Yes. So particularly if they are going to be buying. So let's say selling and buying. I'm just going to tell them, look, this market right now, it's a seller's market. So you're going to be able to truly take advantage of the equity that you built in your home. This is your biggest investment, and you can really take advantage of that. But you've got to be prepared for also being in the seller's market. On the other side of that, we will figure this out pretty easily for you. All we really need to determine is the price. We can figure that out, but let's strategize first on where you're going to go. And to be in this market, if you're planning on floating the Guadalupe on a weekend, drinking a beer, that's not what it is. You're going to be whitewater rafting in a river in Colorado. So if you're wanting one way and I'm telling you what it's going to be, you have to be prepared, or you're just going to get exhausted. You're going to be upset, angry, tired. I'm going to be probably upset, angry, and tired. And so we need to be prepared for the market that we're headed into. So let's spend most of the time focused on how we're going to get you where you're going to go. And then we can easily kind of wrap up the end on selling your current place. So yeah, that kind of analogy, being in Texas, I think works.
Okay, I like that analogy. I hope everybody wrote it down, right? So like, again, it's called setting expectations. And when you set expectations, it like on the seller side, it sounds like, hey, like here, like there are two things that can happen, right? Like on one side, you're floating down the Guadalupe, you know, and you're having a nice beer and it feels good. And then on the other side of it, it's whitewater rafting, right? And the reality is this is a whitewater rafting market. And you can trust me to take you through it. Like we're all going to live at the end of this. We're all going to be happy. We're going to have that adrenaline rush at the end, right? But this is not going to feel like we're just tubing down the river.
Right.
Okay, so we know we can sell their house. How do we get them to be like, okay, I trust you that like we're going to find like a house? Like, what do you say to them? Like,
yeah, so it's basically just kind of saying, okay, so we, luckily for you, and especially the buy sell people, we say, luckily for you, you're already coming into the market equipped. You've got an asset that is on fire right now, and people want it. So let's be very strategic about where you're going to go. So the most important thing is the lender scenario. So if they don't if they're not paying cash, I basically just say, look, in this market, it's gonna come down to some very key things, and one of them is going to be your lender. And I need the ability to. So there's a couple things in this whole process where we kind of boomerang you out. One is lender, and one is title. And with the lender scenario, that's kind of a make or break deal. And in this market, if I don't have easy access and communication with the lender, then it's harder for me to keep things going. The other thing is, if I'm not sure that you've gotten all the information and are the best equipped for what we're about to do, then I can't be that confident in that, even if we present an offer, that it's actually a winning offer. So the first thing is to get you in touch with some quality lenders that have been very successful in this market and winning deals. They're the ones that are going to pick up the phone and call the listing agent and let them know that you're fully qualified. They're the ones that are going to do a full underwrite before we even get started. They're the ones that are going to go that extra mile so that if we're neck and neck with somebody, they may be the difference in winning the offer. So let's get you set up first. Let's get you fully equipped to win with the offer. So let's get you in touch with 1 to 2 lenders that I know that have had success in winning deals in this market, closing on time, their appraisals aren't having issues. You're obviously welcome to have your own lender, but you owe it to yourself to make sure that even that lender is giving you the best package in this current market.
So what I heard you say is, you guys, the sellers are already coming fully equipped to the market, right? They have an asset that's going to be just maximized, right? And the first strategy is not actually to sell their house and talk about all of that stuff. The first strategy is figuring out where they're going to go, getting them with a lender to get them pre-underwritten, to get them really solid, right? And what we're saying in these listing appointments is, we're not here to take your listing. We're here to offer you guidance, to create a strategy for you to hit your goals. And that might be the Homeward program. It might be the Home to Home program, right? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes. So it's I talk to them about Homeward. I basically just say, look, our team has a lot of exclusive partnerships and working with certain lenders that have different programs. So Thrive, one of our top lenders here in Dallas, they have it's called the Home to Home program. And then we have Homeward. And so we basically have some heavy hitting lenders that are being successful in this market that are going to allow you to compete in the market that you're about to be in and set you up for success. So what we need to do is let's strategize getting you approved through a couple of those scenarios so that we can determine when it's down to the wire, which one's best for you. You want options that are going to be the best decision for you. And if we do that now up front, then it'll just come to running a couple numbers and you're going to make, you'll be able to make an easy decision. What we don't want is to be scrambling to try and get you approved for something that we just threw an offer out, and if we're really strategic, our team is still very successful in winning offers in this market, but we need your trust. And we're gonna guide you. This is gonna be consultative. We don't win unless you win. And so if you'll take our guidance and we can have an open channel of communication, it is gonna get emotional, just like the 2 people before me said. I usually also tell people, look, we're probably gonna write some damn good offers and we'll probably still lose. So let's just get set up to be as successful as we can. And hopefully we don't have to do that too many times. We may be successful out of the gate. We might have to learn a couple times, but as long as you're going to be willing to open to that guidance, starting with the lender, then we're still going to be able to find you that place.
So what I heard is that when you're talking to sellers, it's got so much less. In the past, we would have talked all about the listing, and we're not talking about the listing as much as we're talking about our strategy is to make sure that you're squared away with where you're going to go. And then once we find you the place, then we're ready. I mean, we know your house is going to sell 100% without a doubt, right? I love that. Okay, so let's say you get it on the market, or you get it signed. It's not on the market yet. Like in the past, you'd be able to take a listing and you would have like 30 days to sell it. You'd have all these leads that are coming in and it feels good. And nowadays, there are like practically no sign calls, no inquiries, because you can sell a house in 30 seconds flat. And that listing, it doesn't generate more business. And that has been a problem. How are you maximizing every listing that you're taking right now?
I basically just get them excited, and just, especially if they're a buy sell, just get them, okay, we got to be real strategic. Let's do this, and we're going to find you the house. Then the sell side is going to be easy, but we still need to be strategic there too. Just because we're in a seller's market doesn't mean that we can just price it as if the walls are made of gold. We still need to look what's happening and look at what's happening and make sure we price it well to get maximum exposure. And then I just tell them, I work to get them excited for what I know we need. So it's like, look, in this seller's market, and I'll give them an example. I had one 10 minutes down the street. Sorry, stop it. Sorry, I've got a monster dog. She's a nightmare right now. She goes to boot camp in a week. I can't deal with it. So basically get them excited for the strategy I know that we need. And so basically just tell them, like, we are in a seller's market. That doesn't mean we can price the place like it's made of gold. We still need to be pretty strategic there to get max exposure. And in this market, and especially in certain price points, you're going to have a ton of people just constantly asking for appointments to come in your house. Why don't we do this? Let's be real strategic. Okay, as soon as we get the pictures, we can go on the market 24 hours later. So we really look at a calendar and we say, this is the day that we want to go live. And we need the first weekend full of open house hours. So we want at least 12 to 4 or 10 to 4. And they're like, well, they may say, well, why do we even need open houses? I've heard you can just sell it online. We'll say, well, we can. But wouldn't you rather have everybody through here in like 4 hours on 2 days, and we don't even need to open it on all those hours during the week? Wouldn't that be better for you? We basically have 1 or 2 people on our team here. We're going to follow up with every single person that comes through this house, and we're going to set the hours, and we basically set the exclusivity. We say, if you want to see this house, these are the hours it's available, and it's this weekend. And generally speaking, we probably won't even need any showing hours the following week. It'll be sold by the end of the weekend, but we might want to leave some at the end of a Sunday or on Monday if you haven't made decisions, to get people through for second showings. Or when they're in here with 50 other people at an open house, we can set them up for private showings that are going to be later that day or something. So maybe you can go visit a relative, get a hotel. If you don't want to, it's still your house. You can still stay here at night, but we just needed those 2 days. And by the end of those 2 days, we'll probably have it sold.
So you're always going to do like your open houses so that I like what you said, get sellers excited for the price we need, and not you and the seller, but you as the listing agent need to have time to be able to get leads. And if you sell it on the first day that comes on the market, you have gotten one paycheck and you have killed the opportunity to have multiple paychecks. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes. I mean, for every listing that I have lately, we're still doing open house hours, and we're just making it like, hey, we're not going to make it, we're going to do a coming soon on Thursday, we're going to make it live Friday, we're going to book up those hours for some private showings. We may already have people on the team that would like to show it, and then it's open this weekend and this weekend. Basically, they're just excited, like, hey, these are the hours we need. You don't have to constantly be looking at your phone to try and confirm showings. In fact, we can only set invitation only showings on Friday, and then on Saturday and Sunday, everybody can come through, and you're probably going to be done.
Don't you just get tired of doing open houses though? Like, aren't you just tired from your entire week?
No.
No? Okay.
Well, I mean, okay.
Tell me more.
Yeah, yes. But I thought, our standard on the team is to do open house hours every weekend, and I would much rather do them when it's full of people and potential than the empty ones. And so if we're following the team standard, then I like open houses in this market a lot better, because there's a ton of people that agents, I mean, they're just letting buyers. It's like fishing season. I don't know how do you call it, but they're just floundering around, and they're literally like, I'm fully approved, I have a letter. I don't have an agent, because some agents are not wanting to work with buyers because it is tiring. So scoop them up, and then if you're strategic in the meetings, you can help figure out, if they're one that you need to spend some hours on up front, get them under contract, or if it's somebody that needs credit report, whatever it is that they need, you can just kind of plug them in to the follow-up. And I don't understand why anybody would not want to do open house hours in this type of market.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because I remember doing open houses when people would come, like maybe 1 or 2 per open house, or maybe 0, right? Like, if we're going to do open houses, we might as well do it with 30 people showing up.
Like, let's scoop them up. They're everywhere right now.
On the buyer side, I want to go to the buyer side just for a second. What's your thought process on, so let's say your client has a good house that they love. It's their dream home, Daniel, it's their dream home. And the offer deadline is Monday at 5 o'clock. Do you wait till the last second? Do you write it up and you're one of the first? Like, what's been your strategy that's working for you?
Definitely don't wait until the last second. I talk them through it and say, okay, here's the deadline. It means we have this much time before everybody else is trying to get it. So if this is the house for you, let's write a winning offer now. And I'm not promising you that I can, but let's get it in front of the agent. Let me start talking to them, and basically build the rapport with the agent. We talked about that this week on our team in a group coaching call. And it was essentially, we're all in this market right now. And so you can really build strong rapport with an agent. Chances are they probably are on the buy side, at least with 1 or 2 clients. They know what it's like. And if you take the time to put yourself in front of them, ask them what it takes to win, more often than not, most of the agents will at least try and give you some basics. I mean, it may only be a couple points, but it's 2 things that you can put in the offer that you might not have thought about. Okay,
so real quick, you write the offer. It's a good offer, and you send it. Do you send it like right away, or do you wait until the day of the deadline? Do you have any strategy around it, or how does that look like for you?
Send it right away. Call them and ask them, hey, we've sent a winning offer. We would really like, I know your deadline is Sunday at 5, but we would really like to take it off the market now. If there's something else that we could add to make it, take it off the market right now, what would that be? Try and get them to, even if they say, no, we want to be fair to everyone. I understand, got to take advantage of the seller's market. But if this offer is a winning offer, why do you really need to? And see kind of how they react and what it feels like. And maybe even put an expiration on the offer.
Got it. So
this offer actually expires tomorrow at whatever time, even though your deadline is Monday at 5, our offer expires here, because look, we've got to be really strategic, and we want to put winning offers out there, and I got to find my buyers a home. And so we might be, we're only going to put 1 or 2 really solid offers out there. So we really need to be able to move forward. And if not, we've got to keep looking. I'm fortunately, as you understand, agent, I don't have the luxury of just waiting on a response.
I like that you said that, and we can wrap it up there. But what I wanted everybody to hear is what's going to burn you out and wear you out in this market is you got 3 buyers and you're writing these offers every weekend, and then you're waiting an entire weekend to hear that you weren't the winning offer. Like it's very, it's not proactive, right? But you may feel proactive because you're doing the comps and you're showing up at the house, you're one of the first people that show it, right? That may feel proactive to you, but what Daniel is saying, proactive in this market is you don't wait till the last second. You come in there and you say, okay, the house is 400. We're going to offer 480 because that's going to be like the best that we can do, right? And let's go in there and let's see if we can scoop this one out, because Monday at 5, that's the end. Like, I mean, you've lost an entire weekend, guys, right? If your buyer's only willing to do 480 and the listing agent says, you know, everything we're getting other ones over 5 and you can't do that, move on to the next one, right? So
I'm not gonna lie, there's times when I'm like, oh, the 10 line is Sunday at 4. Okay, I can relax a little bit. There's times when I really do feel that way. And sometimes if I have a buyer that's on the fence and they need to make some decisions, I'm like, look, here's what the offer is. We're not going to be making an offer. You know, if we haven't made an offer by this time, then we're not making an offer. I'm not going to be somebody that's submitting an offer at the last minute if I can help it, if we can at all help it. And just try and set a time or a day that is well ahead of the deadline, and not just be like, okay, it's not due till Sunday, I can chill, because then you just wait that time and then you just lose the offer and then everybody's stressed.
I like it. Thank you so much, Daniel. Woo!
Thank you.
Man, rocking and rolling. Elizabeth, you're working with you have like 12 pendings right now. Like, how are you winning right now? Like, wrap us up. Tell us, like, what is going on in your world?
Yeah, I work with a lot of buyers. I like buyers. I know I need to do more listings, and I definitely do still do them, but buyers are not only my bread and butter, but I really truly enjoy it.
You have a passion for it.
Yeah, I truly do enjoy it. I currently have 12 under contract, 8 new construction, 2 owner occupied, and 2 investors. So like really all kinds of buyers. And for me, like the biggest thing I was telling you was setting expectations. I honestly don't really get stressed out with the market so much. I get frustrated with it when my clients are submitting amazing offers, and then like homes are selling, $100,000 over asking, and you're just like, okay, like I don't like not being able to give them good advice whenever the market's shifting so quickly, but that's something that, we're all learning how to get better at advising our clients in the current market. But as far as, getting frustrated with the buyers, like I normally don't get to that point because I set a lot of expectations. And my biggest thing, you asked me like what scripts are working for you. My biggest thing is LP Mama. I love LP Mama. And so my major kind of, not appointment, I still have a buyer consultation, but like my major conversation with them is normally the first one with LP Mama. It's okay, hey, location. And first, like definitely know your market, but know your market like limit. DFW is really big, and because buyers are taking so much longer, I would recommend making your market smaller. So let's say someone wants to go see a house in Burleson, which can be sometimes up to 2 hours away in traffic. Is it really the best use of my time to waste 4 hours in traffic? Or do I give Jordan a referral and get 25% for doing just LP Mama over the phone? What's really the best use of my time? So know your market, but also know what you're gonna actually service. And so again, that's gonna like make you be able to talk to more qualified people. You're not spending lots of time with people that not necessarily are unqualified, but are not the right buyer for you. And then the market, as far like I always start with location, and then I go, okay, to price. It's like, all right, have you already spoken to a lender to determine your budget, or will this be a cash transaction? And if they say, oh, I haven't spoken to a lender yet. Okay, great. Would you like a recommendation, or do you already have someone you know, like, and trust? And they're like, oh yeah, send me a recommendation. I'm like, okay, great. What time would you like me to have them call you? Okay, this time. All right, great. Is it okay if I call you at this time afterwards? Yeah, that'd be great. Awesome. Then my next appointment is set. I kind of stop.
I like that. Woo, that really boxes them in. Okay, keep going. I
also stopped working around like 5, max 7. So like I need to have things on my calendar or else they don't happen. So yeah, like, okay, great. And then I kind of stop. If they are willing to get pre-approved, they gave me a time for my lender to call them, Awesome. Now, if they don't, they say, no, I don't want to get pre-approved yet. It's like, okay, were you aware that in this market, homes typically go on the market Thursday or Friday and sell Sunday or Monday? They're like, oh no. I was like, okay, most lenders do not pre-approve people over the weekend. So if you don't want to get pre-approved, you actually can't go see houses. Did you want to get pre-approved, or do you not want to go see houses? Then they're just like, oh, okay. Like, I guess I do want to get pre-approved. And, or sometimes if I'm having a good conversation with them, like, okay, how about this? I'll set you up on a search so you can see the homes and see if you start liking anything online. And then you let me know when you find one you like. And I had a client, or a potential client, who finally called me one day. He's like, hey, Elizabeth, I want to go see this house. You sent it to me on Thursday. And it was Tuesday. I was like, girl, that sold on Sunday. That was the only one I've liked that you sent me. I was like, remember when I said things sell on a weekend? Like, I meant it. I was like, do you want my lender to call you now? And she's like, yes, I'm ready for them to call me. So that's another way to, again, keep that conversation going. But I don't proceed kind of to the next questions until they're ready to get pre-approved, because you guys know there's no point. There's no point in getting in the car. I have a showing assistant now. I'm not going to waste her time on someone that's not pre-approved like that. How like crappy would that be of me of just having her run around for unqualified people? So that's kind of the next thing. And also, as far as now, the second part of that price conversation is, hey, like, how much do you have saved for a down payment? Which I normally didn't used to ask, because we never really had to, right? Because there's programs, there's assistance, sometimes seller concessions, and that's a conversation for after they get pre-approved. But now it's like, how much do you have to spend on the house? And if they, give you a number, you're like, okay, great. Like, what's your desired monthly payment? And they tell you, and I get the calculator. I'm like, okay, let me get the calculator out so I can tell you roughly what that is. That's about a house of this price, let's say 400,000. You said you were looking in Frisco. Houses in 400,000 in Frisco is about a 3-bed, 2-bath built in the early 2000s. Is that okay with you? And they're like, oh, actually I wanted new construction. I'm like, okay, for 400,000 new construction, that's going to be Aubrey or Little Elm. Is that okay with you? And then they're like, oh no, I want Frisco. I was like, okay, well, in Frisco, new construction is about 800,000. Is that okay with you? And then, so I don't like saying no. I do not say no to buyers. I make them tell me what they want to change. They're like, oh, okay, well, where do I have to go? Like, well, I want a good school district. And then you keep going, but you just are real with them. You're setting expectations that does not exist there, but I don't say, you can't have that. You just say, okay, is that okay with you? And because sometimes they're like, oh, well, maybe I can go to 600,000. Like, okay, for 600,000, you're getting a house from the last 5 to 7 years. Is that okay with you? And, but again, I know my market. I'm not saying that about Burleson, right? Like, I don't know that market that well. I used to be able to drive all the way there, but I'm not, because when things are moving so fast and I need to be able to give really good advice, and we need to be able to consult, be really consultative with our clients. I'm only working with buyers in a certain area that I can 100% be confident of my advice to them.
Well, I have a follow-up. So yeah, I saw this question in the chat. We all have buyers who are just lovely and just wonderful. And gosh, Elizabeth, they don't always have 100,000 to go over. Like, they just don't have that amount of money. Like, what does that conversation sound like when I tell you I'm a first-time home buyer and I have 5% down and I may have maybe 10,000 more to play with, and that's it. I have no more money.
Okay, and then I normally start with new construction. It's like, okay, it looks like you're a good candidate for new construction. Is that something you've thought about? They're like, oh yeah, but I really want to be close to this area. Okay, cool. Well, another solution would be a townhouse or condo. Is that something that you thought about? Like, no, I really want a single family home. I was like, okay, for single family, then you're really going to have to be in these areas. Is that okay? I'm like, okay, well, those are the options available. What is the best option for you? And again, I'm not saying no. I'm like, which one do you want to do? Condo or townhouse? Do you want to go to the outskirts kind of in a new construction home, or possibly like an area that less popular area of town? Like, okay, what would be best for you? Because really that's the reality, right? There's kind of no point in, I think it'd actually be kind of a disservice to you and your client to get their hopes up. It was like, here are the options. Which one's the best option for you? And normally they're fine with that. You never get pushback with people. And I don't ever want people to spend more than they're comfortable with. So that's why I'm starting to ask those questions. Because if they say, well, like I had one lead who's like, well, actually I want seller concessions and incentives. And he wanted, you know, a house with a pool and a deck. And I was like, okay, have you thought about a budget? And he's like, 230,000. And I really wanted to be like, you got to build a time machine to 1995, man. Like it's not happening. So, but again, it's like, okay, well, to get a house like that, you're probably not gonna look in DFW at all. It doesn't exist here. Have you thought about other places? Would you like a referral somewhere else? It doesn't exist here. He's like, okay, what would I have to make in order to get the house of my dreams? I was like, okay, let me do some calculations. You'd have to probably come up with $60,000 and be able to spend about $3,400 a month on a mortgage. And like, he's like, okay, thank you. And you know, like you're saying, okay, if that's what you want, here's what you're going to need. And you don't know what job they have. You don't know what potential they have. You know, you don't know why they're in that situation now. So always assume, you know, that they're just, you know, not trying to pull your leg or anything, that you're helping them.
I like that. Never say no. Just give people their options. Give people their options. And that's a very, you're consulting them is what you're doing. You're not selling them anything at this point. I haven't heard any sales language from you. It's all consultation, all questions, all solutions.
Yeah. And we're only like LPM, right? That's all we've done so far with mortgage. And then after that, if they're like, okay, or hey, I got a pre-approval letter, cool. I'm like, awesome. If you found the perfect house today, would you be able to close on it in 30 days? They're like, yes or no. Yeah, I'm good to go. Or no, I'm in a lease until X date. Then it's a longer conversation. I'm like, okay, I'm only to September. Then I explain, okay, mortgages work in arrears. If we go under contract, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, we can start looking X date. If you found a house tomorrow, would you be able to break your lease? You know, all that sort of stuff. Then you get more into motivation of like timing and all that sort of, you know, conversation. And then after that is when I say, okay, who do you have helping you find a house? I don't say like, do you have an agent you're working with? I just say, who's helping you right now? Because then they'll say, oh, I have an agent, or, oh, my dad is helping, or, oh, I've been looking on Zillow. And you can kind of tell more from their answer from that, rather than just like, oh, what, are you working with an agent? Who's helping you? I was like, okay, well, it sounds like you're ready for a personalized consultation. Would you like to come to my office, or do you prefer Zoom?
Oh, I like that. I hope everybody wrote it down. It sounds like you're ready for a personalized consultation. Gosh, that sounds so much better than everything else. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, and then normally they choose Zoom, and I'm like, great. You know, let me look at my calendar. Here are like, does this time or this time work better? Like we normally do. That time, okay, cool. Who are the decision makers in the household? Who besides you should be on the Zoom call with us? Like, oh, my husband. Great. What's his email address? What's, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then it's like, okay, I'll see you then. And then appointment is set. And then that's all LP Mama, right? And then we go into the buyer consult. But
I love that you have taken a tried and true LP Mama that we've heard about for years, and you have defined it for the market that we're in today, the market of the moment.
And those conversations, so I don't do a lot of open houses, but it's not because I don't think they're great or work well, because I currently have 84 HOTs. And so I don't, and I've set 9 appointments this month. I set, you know, I think 11 last month, 13 the month before. Like there's plenty of people that I have in the pipeline right now. And some of them are not quite monetarily there, or just needing to find a house, or, you know, waiting on leases to end kind of thing. So I'm literally showing, or having my showing assistant show, you know, all over the place. So eventually, like having these conversations really well gives you people to follow up with forever. You know, if you're having all these conversations and obviously taking good notes in brevity.
Awesome.
Keep following it.
I'd actually like to have you on a follow-up to go through the buyer consultation of the market, like how it is today, actually, like because here's the deal. LP Mama, we all know LP Mama, but I think I heard it said in a way that makes perfect sense for the market of the moment today. So I'm wondering what it sounds like on the buyer side. So maybe next Thursday we hear you go through what it sounds like on the buyer side. Same presentation that we've always had, tailored to the market of the moment. So I'm okay, cool. All right, Elizabeth, let's do that. Okay, as long as you are not on vacation or with one of those 84 hots. Just kidding. Okay, awesome. I love that. Are we good? You good? Okay, cool. For all of you guys that hung on for a second, I'm going to give you a script that I heard yesterday really quick. It's called the Golden Text, and it's a golden text that you send to all the homeowners in your database to get traction. And it says, it would be like, hi, Elizabeth, the market is crazy right now. Homes are selling for more than they're worth. What's the price that would cause you to sell without putting it on the market? What's the price that would cause you to sell without putting it on the market? Okay, so a couple things. The response rate will be 33%. So 33% of all people you send it to will respond to you. So I want to share this one with you because it's time saving, right? And it can make you money. And it says, hi, Elizabeth, the market is crazy right now. Homes are selling for more than they are worth. What's the price that would cause you to sell without putting it on the market? I'm going to share this as an auto plan with all of your teams. And then there's a trigger that can be put in place so that whoever you click on with that tag, it can go to all of them. So you don't have to type this up like 50 million times. But we are getting a ton of responses. We tried it yesterday, right after this call, not this call, but like one of the calls that Via had, and it was very successful. So I just want you guys to have access to it. So I'm going to send it to all of your teams. And then the last thing I have for you is we have developed what's called a text Bible. A text Bible is every time you get like a response back to leads and brevity and you don't know what to say exactly, somebody's already thought about what to say and how to say it. And there's like a million responses. And so I'm going to share that with you guys right after this call. It's called the Text Bible. Carrie in Bellingham has been working on this for like 2 years, you guys. And she is an ISA up there. And so I thought it would be a good share for all the people that hung on till the end. So you guys have an awesome week. And guess what? We're seeing Elizabeth next week. Get ready. Tell your friends. Make sure you know that she's going to do the buyer presentation for the market of the moment, which is a crazy one, but it's going to be very good. And we appreciate you guys killing it out there. And I think by next week, you guys, I think we're going to hit 100 million by next week. So we'll come on here and celebrate. Bring your orange juice or mimosa or whatever the drink of the moment is. Have a good week, you guys. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
I appreciate all the thank yous at the end, which is Jonathan. All good. All right, let's get out of here.
Thank you, Adelina.
You're so welcome. We'll see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.